Hey guys, I am talking about sensuality today. So, I know this can be a vast and layered topic, and I did actually do a little live video on the Love Tree family page. So, if you caught some of that, thank you, and I respect you watching it and asking some questions. And during this video, I'm going to try and go over some of your questions, but also give you a little bit more of a clear concept of what I wanted to talk about with you. I find lives can always be a little bit distracting with the kids around, so hopefully you can take some notes from this or see what oils I'm talking about and just note how to use them in your life. But if you don't have too many oils, it's still an opportunity to think about sensuality for yourself and what that might bring up for you. So this can be a bit of a triggering topic. I understand that and I honor that. I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that many of us here are holding space for you when it comes to anything that's related to healing sexual trauma. So please know that you're not alone. Also to note on that, I might be talking about some things that might bring up a little bit of disturbance in you, and to the most part I feel like that's okay. It's okay to feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes when we're moving through these kind of topics. So I want to bring to you guys a little idea that I've had, and we're also going to go through a protocol on how to use the essential oils for sensuality as well. So let's just start at the first step, which I think is, what is sensuality? So when you look up the meaning of sensuality, it's going to talk a lot about sexual relations. But I really do view the sexuality and sensuality as two different things that can come together at really great moments. But when we're talking about sensuality, I really want you to think about that completely to do with you and you alone. This is not something to do with anybody else. It's not something to do with your partner and having to have sex or feeling like you're having to have sex or anything like that. Sensuality is really completely how you feel within yourself. And from an energetic perspective, I feel like this is really connecting to our feminine energy. This is our ability to be nurturing to ourselves, but really quite vulnerable with ourselves, and the ability to open up and let go. And I feel I feel like letting go is actually the key to the best kind of orgasm that you can have. When you are actually fully present in that moment and you are able to let go, that's when you do have the best kind of sexual relations. So it doesn't matter what kind of path you're on at the moment. It doesn't matter whether you have a partner or not. It doesn't matter if you're still confused about your own sexuality. None of those things are really relevant to feeling sensual within yourself. That can be an ongoing journey for you, particularly when it comes to feeling sexual or finding a partner. Sometimes those are real, lifelong journeys that we go on, and even changing partners and things like that. So I want to just say I've been very blessed in the way that my relationship at the moment has really allowed me to open up and be completely free with who I am, what my wants and needs are, but also I'm in a real safe space to feel very queen-like, if you will. So I want you to know that you have the same possibilities, and that of course if you are in an abusive relationship or in a relationship that doesn't feel right for you, of course that could be the most obvious reason why you don't actually want to have sex. So we are going to talk about wanting to have sex here, but I want this to be a focus on you and how you feel within yourself. And this does not mean that using these oils is going to force you to have sex with somebody that your energy is just not compatible with, or perhaps your relationship should be ending. So of course that's worth noting as well. So again, I'm not an expert on that, but I want you to know you have full permission to feel sensual regardless of your circumstance. So when I think about sensuality, I think about it in your everyday life. I try and practice it in my everyday life. And just to paint you a bit of a picture, I am a mum. I've got 2 kids. I work from home. I've got 2 dogs. My house is pretty messy most of the time. I've got quite a community of people that have lots going on for them. I see lots of different scenarios. I see lots of mental scenarios and emotional issues and things come up for a lot of different people in my world. And I feel like this is something that brain is very consistent. This is a consistent issue, whether you are a mother, whether you're a mother to be, whether you are a wife, a long-term wife, or perhaps have any kind of... there are so many different ways that we could heal trauma that we've had. If we want to put it in a chakra perspective, where we have any kind of trauma through our stomach area, through our womb space, our uterus. This is a real sacred space that I feel we're not given the space to actually focus on. So, and of course there are so many different ways that we can use our bodies and our holistic practices to start to overcome any of these barriers that we've faced through past learnings. I'm a big one for cutting down things that we have learned in society and cutting down what society has put on us and deemed right or worthy of our entire existence. So I'm all about that. If you have anything you want to challenge, even what I'm saying, challenging what I'm saying, asking why is my mantra. Always question why. So let's get right to it. So we are going to focus on essential oils because you guys are all essential oil people or interested in essential oils. So I want to break this down into 3 main areas for connecting with your sensuality. So first is being physically present. And that goes for, even tasting some food and feeling the flavors, tasting the flavors in your mouth, the texture of it in your mouth. Also, giving somebody eye contact when you're speaking to them, being fully in that moment, not deciding that, for a conversation is a huge one. And our emotional intelligence, and there's so many layers to this that I love. I absolutely love all of these kinds of connection topics, and communications is my forte. I absolutely love it because it devolves into so much more. It evolves into so much more. So being physically present in those kind of ways as well. So we want to be physically present in our body. We want to understand if we have a sensation come up in our stomach, if we're feeling maybe nervousness around something, if we feel we've got a bit of anxiety coming on for whatever reason, why is that? Addressing and feeling those feelings in our body. And this is all coming back to, this physical existence that we have in our bodies, that so much we're in our headspace, so much headspace, thinking about what they're going to say, thinking about this, thinking about that, thinking, planning, organizing, but we're not actually feeling what kinds of feelings we have come up in our physical body. Why? If anyone can answer me that, please do, because this is just a big disconnection from why and who we actually are, why we're here and who we actually are. Connected to self is my number 2. So it's same kind of lines. You want to be connected to your body. You want to be connected to your inner being. You want to be connected to yourself. And you could use things like vetiver to actually be quite grounded in this area. And then thirdly is our self-acceptance and our self-assurance. So this is when we bring in the confidence piece. So this might be something like bergamot and cassia. So these are our self-acceptance and self-assurance oils to really start bringing our self-esteem up. But before we get to this part, we really need to backtrack and go through the layers. And I've written a bit of, this is where our protocol comes into it. So if you don't mind me sharing this, I'm going to anyway. Okay, so what we want to really do is, number 1 is actually discover what may have been hidden from us. So these are our emotional pieces that paint a picture for what's really going on. So if you have a particular, let's talk about sexuality specifically. So if you are actually having your partner come to you and want sex and you're like, no, not in the mood. Now, of course, there are so many different things we have to consider. We have to consider how we connect to our body in everyday life. Like, have we physically moved our body? Have we addressed our own basic emotions that appear? Do we actually like our partner? Are we physically attracted to our partner? But really it comes down to what is within us. So if we can get all those things addressed and worked through, what's going on within us? And this is going to be a really common theme that comes about. It'll be that we don't feel good enough for that particular day, or we're in a mood about something. Where is that mood coming from? So these oils, you can, in my step 1 and 2, you can use these in every other part of your life to start uncovering certain emotions. So the oils that we're going to use for this particular scenario is going to be black pepper. This is our oil of unmasking, and copaiba. So this is our oil of unveiling. So we might have, say for example, you are just like, nah, don't want to have sex, the end, it's over. You might have emotions within that topic that you actually don't know are there. You might have certain traumas that you actually haven't addressed. Addressing them, focusing on them, and releasing them means that you can move on. And your body is only going to reveal to you certain aspects of what you're ready to receive. But I'm a big believer that any kind of physical ailment we have is coming from emotional trauma that hasn't been released from the body. So you might not, it's not like you're going to use black pepper and copaiba and be like, oh, I've got all this trauma happening, it's being released all at once, or all of a sudden I can see every single problem in my life. That's not quite how it works. But I want you to work with these for a few weeks. Perhaps you want to make up a roller, perhaps you want to use them in the diffuser, perhaps you want to use them during a certain practice. So maybe it is breathing them in while you're saying affirmations, or having a bath and breathing them in, or, you know, have some kind of centered present practice so you can actually start to use the oils to start taking away those layers. And I believe that for a lot of us, you might think, wow, why are these girls all going a bit, you know, what society would call us a bit crazy, because we've been using oils for a while. We've been using them for a long while, and they start to take layers away. They start to really take away the programming we have had, and that is such a gift. It really is. Okay, so the next part of this is to release the emotions. So we might want to use something like cypress, our oil of motion and flow, or wintergreen, which is our oil of surrender. So wintergreen, please be mindful if you're pregnant, because that has the anti-inflammatory properties in there. We don't want to be using that if you have a baby in your tummy. Now this is going, and the other oil I want you to use is so wintergreen or cypress, as well as maybe something like a Douglas fir, which is for generational healing, or generational. So when we talk about generational trauma and things like that, it could be something that you have a particular fear of, something that is actually not happened to you, nor it ever will, but it's a pattern ingrained in the passing of the genes that you believe to be real or true, because it hasn't been healed within the generational line. And there's lots of information on this. I encourage you to go and do some research on it if you are interested. It's so powerful. So Alison actually got me onto the Douglas fir for that, for the generational stuff, which I absolutely love it. Douglas fir is also sourced from New Zealand, where they have had so many Douglas fir trees that they've actually become a pest because they don't allow any of the natives to grow. So doTERRA work with the New Zealand government to actually take out the baby trees and use those to diffuse the oil to stop them, and then replant native trees as well. So you know you're getting a really good oil there. Again, if you haven't looked at any of the co-impact sourcing from doTERRA, there's some amazing stories, so do so. Okay, so the third part of this is empowering yourself. So once we've discovered what the emotions are, we're surrendering them, we're letting them go, then we're going to re-empower ourselves. So within that, you're going to find, when we're looking at something within the releasing of emotions in our part 2, if it's Douglas fir, or maybe it's lavender for communication. Maybe we haven't been able to calmly communicate what we need to about our needs, or about how we're actually feeling in this area of our lives. And maybe lavender is something really simple that you start working with. Now, the period of time to do this is really such a personal decision, because you might have that you want to get this all done at once and just spend, solid time working, do it over 3 weeks or something like that. For others, it may be months of looking and focusing on something. And Tiffany Peterson, my absolute idol. She says, what you focus on expands. So what you put your energy in is going to expand. So what you're looking at in your life, it will start revealing things to you. You've just got to put your focus there. So it's not a matter of just getting a whiff of rose and being like, oh my gosh, I'm magically in love with everybody. It really does have to be a real layering process and quite a slow process, and that is okay. And give yourself permission and give yourself the space to do that. Okay, so for empowering ourselves for section 3, we're going to go back to our bergamot and our cassia. So we've got self-acceptance and self-assurance. So these guys, you might just want to, for general everyday use, if you're feeling a little bit low in the self-esteem, you might want to make up a roller of these guys and apply that, to your pulse points. Just note that bergamot is photosensitive. So being a citrus oil, so don't put it somewhere on your face and then go into the sun or something like that. But also within this, we want to look at our body, how we feel about our body, how we relate to our body, and Smart and Sassy and Grapefruit. Grapefruit's actually in Smart and Sassy as well. But this can help our relationship with food, but bring us back to our physical presence within our body. How are we actually feeling about how we are in our physical selves? Do we like ourselves? Do we want to like ourselves? How do we connect to our physical self in this lifetime? And those oils can be really powerful at bringing that kind of empowerment. I mean, look at the name, Smart and Sassy. In the US, it's also called Slim and Sassy. So just a note there. Okay, so now once we've done the work, now our sexy oils can arrive. Now you might just want to go cut the work. You don't want to do that. You just might want to go, I want the self-esteem and then I want to bring the sex in. Great. But I do want you to think about this as a long-term practice and a long-term experience. If you want to be on this earth for more than the next few months, you want to be thinking about connecting to your own feminine energy and connecting to your sensuality. And that means doing the work and unlayering things that don't matter. Imagine that you have gone around your whole life and you've just put so many jackets on. Somebody's given you a piece of advice. You put a jacket on, you put a jacket on, you put a jacket on. Now you have so many jackets on of things that people have said to you that have affected you, that have hurt your feelings, that have made you feel less than. Things that you have seen on social media and magazines or from TV or different things within society that you've taken on board as truth. Now you have a back loaded of jackets and you need to start stripping those away, because otherwise how are we going to get to our sexual feminine selves if we've got too many jackets on? We need to be naked. We need to be completely naked. Let's get naked, guys. Okay, so let's just start stripping them away. So that's why I think it's important to take the steps and do the work. But let's talk about these sexy oils, because that's what you're here for, and I've probably spoken to you for a long time now. Now, let's go for the most obvious scenario. This one is our Precious Florals box. This was available during Mother's Day. We have in here little 4 ml bottles, and these have, we've got Blue Lotus. This is a very new one, so I'm not familiar too much with it. Jasmine, Neroli, Magnolia, and Rose. So these guys are deeply connected to physically, when we look at our physical ailments and what they help to heal, there's a lot of hormones connections. There's our baby making places, and sexuality. So all of this is related. So when we're looking at this if we want to look at our energy centers, we're talking about going for our base. We're talking about our root base, our sacral. We want to be working within these zones. Our sacral especially, this is where we have our sexual organs, and we want to be bringing attention to them. They are important and they are a part of us. And to just go, they're for making babies and I have to have sex with my husband, the end. That's really boring. I don't want you guys to live in a life like that. This is about you. Yes. And I absolutely am so grateful for making babies with my sexual organs. And I'm so grateful that they also do bring pleasure when I am with my partner. And those two things are so freaking powerful, so powerful. And if you don't feel powerful in that space, this is where we can bring in these oils. So when we're looking at jasmine, this is our sexual purity. This is our balance. We want to have a balance of sexual desires, and I really believe that jasmine is a very sensual oil. So if you feel like you need to connect back into that, start using something like jasmine. If you feel like you're having a lot of lack of trust in the world, in yourself, in your partner, perhaps for reasons that aren't, not lack of trust in your partner, like they've cheated on you and, you know, it's the end of the relationship. That's a completely different situation. But if you're looking at something like, when you want to look at something like actually trusting again, that's when we'll go to something like geranium. So this is the oil of love and trust. But I have noted down as well that this one is a great one for emotional healing. So when we're pairing, you can start seeing how these all start painting quite a picture. So I'll also have a written graph out for you guys on this as well. Neroli is our shared partnership and purpose oil. So I would go for Neroli because it's this oil of sexual desire. So if you just want to cut to the chase and go, no, I'm all good in all areas, I just want to have a little bit more of a intimate moment, I would start looking at Neroli because it's just going to get you in the mood. And of course, we've got to think about how these chemical structures of the oils enter into our cells and how they speak to ourselves. And that's really how we're getting this empowerment from the oils. It's not just a matter of, looking at a word and our body changes its functions. We are actually literally talking about molecules entering into our bloodstream. So that's why we're talking about specific oils for specific things. It's amazing, isn't it? I love it. Okay, we also want to talk about rose. So this is our oil of divine love. So rose, yes, if you've seen it, it is so expensive, but it is also known as the queen. So this is going to give us so many different benefits. And it's a great one to use on people of all ages. This is not just an oil just for in the bedroom. This is an oil for some deep healing and opening up that heart center. And when we're talking about anything, particularly when it comes to trust and surrendering, we do want to be focusing on our heart. I think that is learning to open your heart center and go towards somebody that you might not feel that great about with love instead of rejection feelings or instead of frustration. It's going to really be a key player. So I think it is worth the money if you are feeling really caught up emotionally, angry emotionally. Angry is a whole other topic. I've got lots of information on that as well. But if you are really ready to step into that heart space, working with rose can really help that. And that is going to help the release. And we just want to keep releasing. We just want to keep opening. If you imagine a flower, not only is our flower, look at this. I've got this beautiful from my friend Christina. Look at this flower. So not only is this flower absolutely full of layers, it also has this representation of our lady parts, but also when it's opening and opening and opening, this is that bloom feeling. This is that connection to how we want to be. We want to be a flower in bloom, don't we? We don't want to remain a closed tight bud forever because that's hard work. We've got to keep everything closed. That's hard work. We would rather just be open and relaxed. These guys also come in the Neroli. If you've missed out on the Mother's Day kit, I would get the Neroli and the rose and the jasmine in these. Use your LRP points and get them for free, as I did. It's a great way to buy oils, especially the ones that are super precious. If you ever see this oil back again, this is beautiful. It was available in the US just recently. These usually comes out as a special promotion. I would definitely get beautiful. For me, I've got amazing anchor connections for beautiful with the birth of my second child, Emily. I actually forgot a lot of my birthing oils, but I had beautiful as my perfume, and now when I smell that, it takes me back to that time of having her in hospital. So, speaking of her. Another oil that I want to talk about is this one, which is a masculine. You might have seen this around Father's Day. I can never say it right. I always pronounce it Amvari, and I realize that's wrong. This one is a really good one it's a masculine blend, but for you as a woman, if you're a woman listening to this, it's a really good one for balancing that masculine energy. So if you are too much in your masculine, as in, no, we've got to get this done, no, structure, and everyone around you has to bow down to you, this one might be a good one to start working with, because then you're going to start softening that and bringing in your feminine energy. And then you can start using something like jasmine or rose to bring yourself more into the feminine. And then you're getting a bit of more of a balance. And of course, no matter your sex, no matter how you're born or whatever, you have both feminine and masculine energy. You can only have one banana at a time. Thank you. Yes, just one banana at a time. And our all-time most sexual oil. Oh, this one actually is also a really good one for trusting men, or if you have a dislike of men or male energy as well. So it's a really good one to bring masculine energy into your life and balance in your life in all kinds of ways, particularly if you've got any kind of trauma connected to past relationships or distrust of men. Okay, and the last 3 oils I want to talk about is cinnamon. You can tell I've got a lot of oils here by that sound. Cinnamon is our sexual oil. This is known as our sexual harmony. I was trying to think, what's the other word? Harmony. So when we feel that we need to really dive into that space, cinnamon can be a good one. It is a very hot oil, so just keep that in mind. So always have it diluted. Also, cinnamon is within this oil here called passion. So passion might be the most obvious oil. We actually conceived Emily to diffusing this, and I was wearing this the night we conceived her. It is so spicy, so sexy. Some people don't like it. And if you don't like it, I say lean into that. Lean into why you don't like it. Get amongst it, as my friend would say. And Whisper. This is our women's blend. This is a really calming, beautiful blend. But using them together, this one is like, this is how I would see, this is a bit more of how I see in like goddess language, right, would be, this one is a bit more of the crone because it's got a little bit more softer, gentler, older kind of sense, whereas this one is the maiden. So this is the hot mama. So bring them together and you've got this wise wisdom of the crone, but you've also got this spiciness of the younger. There we go. Together they're just fantastic. Oh yeah. Now and look how much I use them. They're both got hardly any in them. Also just doing something, just rubbing some through your hair, using it as your perfume. Please be using essential oils as your perfume. You don't want to be using anything that's not essential oils because it's full of toxins. So I would highly recommend using these oils and really leaning into them. And that is all on the oils that I want to talk to you guys about. But I think overall I want to mention that sex is that once if you've got that sensual energy around you, find a meaning for yourself around sensuality, what you think it is, what you want it to be, and form that meaning for yourself in your life. I'm not going to sit here and tell you definitions of words or what my version of it is, because your version is going to be different, and please honour that within yourself. And the second part of this is that sexuality side. And when we are already tapped into our own feminine energy and our own sensuality, having sex is just a bonus. And having sex with somebody else is an opportunity for connection. It's an opportunity for physical pleasure. And I think you need to come to a point to be open to receiving. And the lesson, I feel, in the human vessel is all about letting go. But particularly when it comes to sex, sex can be our greatest test and our greatest reward as well. Allow yourself to be open, be honest. And if you can get to a point where you communicate your needs with your partner, to what feels good, what makes you feel good, what you need from them, even going back a step and talking about love, looking up your love languages, the 5 love languages. You can just do that test for free online and finding out what's important to you. For me, for example, mine is acts of service. So if my partner was to help me out and do a few things around the house, it's on. Whereas his is physical. So he needs that kind of physical element to feel the love. So it's really so interesting. We're all so different. I do invite you in to lean into this space, see how much you can get out of it. And I think I will finish with the same thing that I finished on my podcast, which was, what is the most satisfying thing about having a lover or a partner is someone that fully lets go, no inhibitions. And that sounds pretty great to me. Just let go. Trust the process. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of this. I will have some graphs up for your viewing soon. And I'll also feature in there a goddess blend, which I'm going to test out for you guys. So thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone. And here's to getting it on.